Here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for tuning in to American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, along with executive producer Ethan Euchre, Jeff Wagstaff, and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati. Now, on the phone, we have award-winning investigative journalist Greg O'Brien, who was diagnosed with the early onset of Alzheimer's at the age of 59. And he is also author of On Pluto, Inside the Mind of Alzheimer's. So thank you for being with us, Greg.
Thank you.
So, Greg, that's got to be terrifying. I mean, and I mentioned it before that I didn't even realize, when you think of Alzheimer's, like my great-grandmother had Alzheimer's. You think of someone in their 80s, you know, someone in their 90s. You don't think that, you know, an award-winning investigative reporter, super sharp mentally at the age of 59 would be diagnosed. How terrifying that must have been.
Well, you know, I have to start back with my maternal grandfather, George Brown, and as a young man, I saw him die of Alzheimer's, and there was a moment I never will forget. And my mother, Virginia, died of Alzheimer's a few years ago, and I'm the oldest boy in a family of 10, Irish Catholic family, and I was her family caregiver, and that devastated me. But my mother, there are no two, doctors tell me there are no two types of Alzheimer's that are the same, and my mother was able to fight it at some level of articulation, although there are other symptoms that were taking over her pretty close to the end. And she taught me how to live with it. Several years ago, I started the symptoms of short-term memory loss, not recognizing where I was in familiar places, and not recognizing people that I had known all my life. And it was troublesome because, you know, as a journalist, that is kind of the core of what you're being. Right. And I was able to manage okay, but it was scaring the crap out of me, if I could say that word. And then I had, a couple years later, a serious head injury riding on a bicycle with my sons. Dumbass that I am, I did not have a helmet. There was a sweatshirt that were on a bike path that slipped from the handlebars into the spokes. I was thrown, and I was going full tilt. And I'll tell you something else stupid. I was riding no-handed. Maybe at that point my brain was not clicking. I often now think of back to when I was a kid rather than ahead. And in the moment I felt like a kid, and I started riding no-handed. I was thrown 30 feet in the air, got my left hand out in front of my head, and the crush went right into my knuckles, cut right down to there. My head went up and bounced down and hit again, and rushed to the hospital, 20 stitches to the face. The symptoms became worse after that. I've had brain scans and SPECT scans and the clinical tests, and when the doctors go in, they could see the area impaired from Alzheimer's, and in another place in my brain, they could see the scar from the head injury, and you know, they, as they say, it unmasked a disease that was going to happen. I also, which isn't, I'm trying to find the right word here, which isn't true of all Alzheimer's people, probably less so, but I have it genetically. I carry a marker gene for Alzheimer's. So,
Greg, question for you. After being diagnosed, watching your grandfather and your mother suffer with this disease, does that perspective, does it help you deal with the disease because you're so familiar with the symptoms and what you're faced with, or does it make it a little scarier knowing what you're faced with?
No, is this the doctor I'm talking to now, or is this?
No, this is not. It's a co-host.
No, it helps me because I've seen it, And, there's, as I write in my book, there's an old saying, anyone who doesn't think they're going to die someday, please raise your right hand. I just know the ending of the book before I get to it. And the other side of it that propels me is I've been a journalist all my life. As an investigative reporter, I covered the mafia, organized crime, and a lot of different political stories around the country. And I reverted in Alzheimer's to what I call, and some doctors call, the muscle memory, which is my writing and communication and reporting. And 7 years ago, my instincts told me to take notes. I took 750 pages of notes watching my mother and me.
Right.
I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but after my mother died, and I saw this, and I because I'm so close to the disease, what was happening in this country, and I just said, this has to end. And if I have to go and describe the ugly details of this, and there can be a good that comes out of it, so people understand the stereotype of Alzheimer's is not Alzheimer's. The end stage is the stereotype of Alzheimer's when you're in a nursing home and you can't talk. But there are hundreds of thousands or millions of people in early stages of Alzheimer's who are living with it right now. 60% of my short-term memory is gone in 30 seconds. Regularly, I don't recognize where I am. I see people I've known all my life who I don't know. I now, at times, see things that aren't there. The impolite word is hallucination, and they're scary, as my mother had.
Yeah.
I go into tremendous rage. I've lost a sense of space in terms of distance and things like that. And but you got to, in life. Also, by the way, I have prostate cancer.
Oh gosh,
and
I'm sorry.
I've chosen not to treat it because I think we're a ways away from a cure. And I've seen the inside of a nursing home. They're wonderful places, but I don't want to go there in Alzheimer's, and that's an end game strategy for me. And I'm hoping what comes out of this book is that people realize that there are millions of people suffering who are afraid to talk about it. And in time, yes, I won't be able to speak.
Right.
And in time, yes, they won't be able to speak. But damn it, we have to start screaming while we can speak now until people take this disease serious, all stages, not just the end.
Craig, this is Dr. Bonati. Craig, let me ask you something. This is amazing what you accomplish. You're saying that you lose some contact with reality sometimes and things like that, but I'm hearing you and your way to communicate and the words that you're using and the correction that you're using is amazing. Is anything that you apply, that you develop some techniques or something like that to maintain this integrity of your vocabulary? Because one of the first things that goes away is finding words to be able to communicate. So the people start to talk about, and if they need to talk for a car and they cannot find the word, they use a vehicle or whatever, and they change words. Is that techniques that you use? Because you may need to not only teach, but probably you need to give this information to the public that has this type of a disease. And the problem is that if you learn some techniques, those techniques, they need to be exploited. They need to be known, because it's amazing the way that you communicate, man. Well,
Doctor, I describe Alzheimer's as a plug in a loose socket. The plug is loose and the light is dimming. and then the plug falls out and you put it back in, and eventually the plug falls out, and it doesn't go back in, and you go dark. I have moments when I can't find words. As a journalist, for an interview like this, I'm surrounded by my notes here. It's my intellectual training. I have moments during the day of strong articulation and moments of the day when it's not. I describe my brain as like an iPhone.
Okay.
It's sophisticated, but there are times when it shuts down, shuts off. And the scary thing, Doctor, is you never know. And I'm able in this early stage to get a sense on, I could never do this interview in the morning or at night. Those are my two worst times. And when I do something like this, it takes an awful lot out. A lot of it is my training as a journalist and what I call, faith, hope, and humor to try to get through this. And I do have strategies. I take copious notes. I never go away from my laptop. Everything I write down. I email myself sometimes 100 times a day with stuff because I don't want to forget.
Well, Greg, the whole journey is chronicled in your new book called On Pluto, Inside the Mind of Alzheimer's, award-winning investigative journalist, once again diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at the young age of 59. Greg O'Brien, we'll certainly keep in touch with you, Greg, and just the best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. Again, you can get On Pluto, Inside the Mind of Alzheimer's on Amazon.com.
Thanks, Greg.
Also, you could get it on my website, onpluto.org.
Onpluto.org. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day there, Greg.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Fascinating story. So tragic, too.
It is.
I really think he has some training, something that he developed that probably he doesn't really has no cognition because of the time that he's using it. And I'm telling you, this is something that needs to be. I think we need to bring him back and explore his mind a little bit more.
Let's do that, for sure.
I think so. Coming up next, we have Dr. Jamie Koufman. She is a throat and voice doctor from New York City, and she's going to be speaking to us about the Chronic Cough Enigma. After the break, you'll hear more. You're listening to News Radio 970, WFLA. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine Procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years, and it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results, no pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone, nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.